Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Sam. Today I am really excited to be trying out the Red Heart Granny Square all-in-one yarn. I absolutely love granny squares and granny square projects, and I thought this yarn was pretty interesting. So I guess the idea with this yarn is basically that you get to make a bunch of granny squares and you don't have to change colors. The idea is that the color changes are done for you. Honestly, in theory, it's a great idea. I don't know how well this is going to work. I imagine it would be a bit of a challenge to get it to be perfect for everyone every time because everyone crochets a little bit differently. But I'm going to just follow the pattern the way that they have it written here, and we're going to see how this guy works up. So it says here that one ball of yarn makes 14 granny squares. I don't really have a plan yet of what I can do with 14 squares. Maybe a tiny little blanket for my cat. Anyways, super excited to try this out, so we're just going to go ahead and get started. Okay, so just going to keep that there so I can kind of pay attention to what's going on. So it says if you end up with too much or too little yarn, just to basically go back and adjust your gauge accordingly so that you have the right amount of yarn. So I'm just going to start leaving a 5-inch tail here, as I usually kind of would for any crochet project. And then it says to start with a slip knot and a chain of 4. And we're going to slip into the first stitch like this. Okay, and then for the first round it says that we're going to chain 6. Just interesting. I've never done this before for a granny square. So then it says we're going to do 3 double crochet, chain 3 into the ring here. So just going to do this rather quickly. 1, 3 double crochet, chain 3 times. Oh no! Oh no! Right off the hop. Unfortunately, I don't have enough brown, so I must need a much tighter gauge. Okay. Looks like I need to crochet a lot tighter. Because I only got 6 stitches out of that. Interesting. Okay. Try her again. But I am doing the 5.5 hook as recommended, so maybe all of this needs to be a little bit smaller. So I'm going to work a little bit tighter and see if that helps. Go in here, start with that chain of 6. This is a lot tighter than I would usually ever crochet. So I'm going to go with 3 double crochet, chain 3, like it says. Okay. Double crochet. Hopefully we can get this one. No. Okay. Interesting. So I only got 2 out of the 4 clusters, even when I worked my yarn a lot tighter. And it looks like here, like I am starting at the right place because the white has ended here. Okay, so that didn't work. I have tried sizing down my hook to a 5mm, and we're going to see if that works. So just starting again, going to follow the same pattern, but maybe my stitches are too loose. So I'm going to go with the 5mm hook and see if that makes any difference. Oh no! So I've got to the end of my round again with a smaller hook, a tighter gauge, and already in like the second last cluster here, we're already into the blue. So if I finish this as is, this is what I get. Because I still need 2 stitches and then a slip stitch here into the 3rd chain, like so. So that clearly is not working out, and it's not going to work out for me because I've already downsized my hook. So my other option would be to downsize again or to go even tighter. But even so, that's a lot of yarn in this small space for me to adjust my tension with, considering I've already switched down my hook size. So this so far is not working great. Before I try going a lower hook size, I think I'm just going to do a magic ring. Maybe that's part of the problem. Maybe it will save a tiny bit of yarn this way. So this time with the magic ring, I think I got a little bit closer. But still, those last couple of stitches are going to be in blue. So yeah, I don't think that made very much of a difference with the magic ring. Instead, I think to adjust this according to the instructions, I would have to take my tension even tighter. So I'm going to quickly power through with a 4.5mm hook, which is now a full millimeter lower than the recommended hook size. So maybe that will help with my tension a little bit. I'm going to do that and just bring it back when it's done. Okay, so this is my 3rd or 4th time now doing the 4.5mm square, so it is quite tight tension-wise. I'm still getting this stitch though. I cannot get rid of this blue stitch. So I think my last attempt of this is going to be 2 chains in the corners instead of 3, because maybe that'll save me enough yarn to get this last couple stitches. Either way, that's as tight as I can get it. If this doesn't work, then I'm just going to let this bleed through in this last spot, which isn't ideal, but I don't really have any other solutions. So that's what I'm going to try, and hopefully this works this time. Okay, so I almost have it now. I'm just going to pull this as tight as I possibly can to get this last stitch here. Honestly, that's as good as it's going to get. But finally, I did it, so I did have to adjust. We're doing 2 chains in the corners here instead of 3, and I'm down at a 4.5mm hook. So I'm just going to find this chain 3 to slip stitch this guy together, like so. So again, not perfect because we're already into the blue a little bit, but that is what I'm going with. So we're going to slip stitch to close off this round. And the instructions say to chain 6. And then we're going to go 3 double crochet into the corner. Chain 1, and then we're going to do the next corner with 3 double crochet. Chain 3, 3 double crochet. So I will try the chain 3 again on this round. Maybe there just wasn't enough brown. I want to keep it as close to the pattern as I can. Chain 3 for the corner. 3 more double crochets. Chain 1, 3 double crochet. Okay, this one might actually work. I am at the end of my round now, and I have way too much blue yarn left. So obviously this is probably because of my 4.5mm hook. So I'm going to go ahead, switch back to the 5.5, try it again, and hopefully that resolves it. But with that being the case, it's a bit odd because I really had to try very hard to make the center very tight with that 4.5mm hook. So I'm going to switch to the 5.5 and come back if it works or if it doesn't. So I'm back at the beginning here, and I have 2 double crochets left, and an unfortunate amount of blue yarn left still. So, yeah. So far it's not working out great. Because I have my chain 3 here, so I'm going to leave 3 chains, go to the top of this with a slip stitch, and that's what it's looking like currently. For the second round, the tension was much looser. This is super, super tight in the middle here. I guess I will adjust again, doing it with the looser tension this time. See if that makes any difference at all. So this is the end of the round. So I have done a very loose tension, still have a lot of extra blue. Yeah. It's weird. It is working up a little bit weird. The center is so tight, this row is so loose. I don't really know what to do with it. It's not a huge amount of yarn. I'm gonna see what happens if I just slip stitch it together. Yeah, if I do the extra 6 chains, then I'm into the white. So okay. So I don't really know what to do with this. This is going to be pretty obvious on the second round here. So I'm just going to try one last time. Maybe a looser hook, maybe an even looser tension. But this tension is already quite loose to the point where my stitches don't really look very good anymore. So I'm going to size up my hook, I think. Try this round in a 6mm hook and see how that works out. Okay, so I did this round 2 different times with the 6mm hook, and finally I got to the end with the right tension, and the lines surprisingly match up very well. So I'm going to slip into the 3rd chain here and repeat the same process. This is perfect. So this is perfectly perfect matching up on this one, which is great. For the 3rd round, we slip stitch. We're going to do our 6 and then the corner again. So it's repeating the same way each time. So we start with the chain up of 6. I'm going to stick with my 6mm hook. Hopefully that is what works for the rest of the square, because if it is, that would be great. So I'm going to do this round the same way as the last round and hope it works out again. Okay, honestly, I'm not too upset with that at all. I am going to go back and make these last couple stitches a little tighter to hopefully have that line up perfectly, because that's what the instructions say, is adjust your tension on those last few stitches. So let's see if we're able to do that. And perf. Find the 3rd, like they say, right here. Okay, this round was surprisingly painless, which I needed. So I'm going to go ahead, try the blue, see if our luck continues. So this round came out just so slightly and perfectly here. The last bit of this stitch is white. Let's go ahead and adjust the tension again on that last stitch. Just pull it tighter for a good result. Okay, there we go. I'm going to slip here. Yeah. Okay. With the exception of the first 2 rows, I'm honestly pretty impressed so far that it has gone according to plan. Of course, we did adjust the hook size to a 6, but I'm going to go ahead and power through the next row and see what happens there. So it looks like now I'm here. This is the last color on the outside, and I definitely don't think I'm going to have enough yarn, but we're going to give her a shot with a bit of a tighter tension on these stitches. Yeah, not going to have enough yarn. So, I'm going to take it back to the corner and try working a little tighter from there. So I'm 2 stitches short, so this guy didn't pan out quite like I wanted either. I think I'll go back redo this round with a bit of a tighter tension, and hopefully that works out, because this is going to be our center color here. And I don't want to have the same incident that we had with the first round where I really have to take a very small hook for the center. So I'm going to go ahead, redo this round with a tighter tension, and hopefully that works out. Okay, so this one actually ended up working pretty well. After I adjusted the tension, I did have to go back and do it quite a bit tighter than I had originally done, which means that it is tighter than the previous rows. So this round ended up working out pretty well at the end. My color changes right here, so I'm just going to fasten this off. Try not to pull too much of the brown yarn through, but I'm going to fasten it off like so. Honestly, not too bad overall. I really did struggle with the first round and the second round. The other ones were kind of easy breezy. And I'm just realizing that I did something silly. I thought I grabbed my 6mm hook. I grabbed my other 5.5mm hook. So I did end up using a 5.5mm hook for the whole thing. So I'm going to go ahead and start the second one. Hopefully, now that I have the practice of the first one, the second one goes a little bit easier, and it's easier to adjust my tension and whatnot. So I'm going to do the same thing I did before. I'm going to do the magic ring instead, and then just follow the pattern as it suggests. Okay, so this round right off the bat was much easier to do than the first round. There's the tiniest little bit of brown left, so I'm just going to loosen these last few stitches like so. Hopefully that gets rid of that. It should. Okay, not too bad. So this round, again, so much easier than the first square. So maybe there was a little mistake there in the yarn. But I'm going to continue doing this for the next few rounds. So I'm just going to tighten the last couple stitches because I'm getting the same little bit of white in this round. But, oops. Hopefully this fixes that as well. Honestly, not too bad. So I'm going to run with this and keep going. So this round worked out almost perfectly as well. I am pretty much expecting to have to go back at the end of every row though to just slightly adjust that tension. But it's not bad. Like, I'm actually, considering where we came from on the first round, I'm pretty impressed. Oops. So it's not working out badly. Like, I am kind of impressed. Just going to carry on. So this one round worked out almost, like, essentially perfectly as well. So short again on this round, a couple of stitches. I'm just going to go back a couple of stitches, tighten them up. Okay, so this one kind of worked out now. But judging from the last two squares, I need to go a little bit tighter in that last round. Honestly, this square wasn't bad at all. Side by side, the squares do look quite a bit different just because of how tight that center stitching is. I think I'm just going to take the ball of yarn and continue making the squares until they're all done, and then we can see how the rest went. I'm back. I just finished up the remainder of the squares, gave them a really quick steam so that they would lay flat so we can see here. Honestly, I'm pretty impressed with how they worked out. They all came out pretty even. There's a couple of squares like this. Some of them have like this sort of bleeding into the next color. I found it was the trickiest to get the white color on the end to end up being the right amount of yarn, so I had to pull and undo the last row a lot. I also did get some of this throughout, like there's some blue in the white up here too, so the bleeding kind of sucks, but overall though I think that they look really good, and I am pleasantly surprised that the yarn worked out as well as it did. We did end up with 15 squares from one skein, so I do want to try and make a small one skein project. I think I'm just going to grab some scrap yarn quickly and join these guys together and make a tiny little blanket for my cats to enjoy. I'll show you guys how it turns out at the end, but I'm just going to join these really simply together and hopefully we can get something out of one skein. I love it. I kind of love it. I just finished sewing and everything, and I did a double little border around the outside, like a little shell stitch around the granny stitch border, and I kind of really like how it looks. I really, really like how it looks. It's obviously just a very tiny blanket. It's only 15 squares, but it fits perfectly over top of my ottoman, and my cats can snuggle on it as they please. So yeah, overall, super impressed with the yarn. The fact that it actually worked out like square after square, and it looks obviously pretty consistent. If you do get a little bit closer, like you can tell some of the tension is not the same, but you have to be really looking for that. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!